Well, here we are. It's been for me, I can speak for myself. It's been a wonderful journey so far. So thank you for this opportunity. And I hope this last session goes well for you. If not, you don't have to do it next week. So I can apologize now in advance.
Excuse me, Venerable, can I come in and say that we have that practice session, don't we, on Saturday the 11th?
With somebody else, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, that sounds very, very flattering. Thank you for the compliment. I'm not sure it's meant that way, though, but I'll take it like that. That's okay. Yeah, I was going to introduce a little bit of the practice today that maybe the lovely person who takes you on the 11th, she or he may or may not do. So I'm not suggesting that they do it. That's up to them how they do it. But I just thought I'd at least introduce it to you today. And yeah. Okay, Paula? Perfect. All right, so our body's here. I don't know where our mind is, but let's make sure we can catch it up and be united with our body. So let's just take a moment. And in fact, I might do a bit of the practice in an abbreviated way, even like from the get-go, and then we can elaborate on what that means later. So we might do it as our introduction. I assume you can see the screen okay. Perfect. I'm just going to move their faces so I can see you guys. Hang on a sec. There we go. Okay. So yeah, let's just take a moment. It's been a big day for you guys. For me, it's only not long begun, but it still feels big. So just focusing on the breath to ground ourselves in the present moment. And we can reflect on the purpose of our life, to free all sentient beings from all suffering and bring them to enlightenment. That's what gives this precious human rebirth the most meaning, most value. Whatever enjoyments we have throughout each day, whatever happiness we have experienced, are experienced, will experience, even up to highest enlightenment, totally depends on others. And so therefore, not only is our happiness dependent on others, but there's the great need to repay their kindness and bring them to lasting happiness. If I can develop loving kindness towards each of the sentient beings, wishing for their happiness and causes of happiness. And at least they will receive no harm from me, but only benefit. We can think that by serving sentient beings is the best way we can serve the Buddhas. And so may all our actions here and now and beyond, all our actions of body, speech, and mind, may they become virtue, cause of happiness, so that we can fulfill this great meaning. And so we can visualize the Buddha in front, the precious holy Guru, taking the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha, who in this single aspect embodies all Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So visualized in front, a gorgeous throne, snow lines at the corners. You can imagine a table in front with the precious holy Dharma on it. And then seated upon a lotus sun and moon disk, glorious Shakyamuni Buddha. Trust that Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is in front of us, and feel the magnificence of his precious holy body, speech, and mind. Seated around us are numberless sentient beings in human form, but experiencing their individual sufferings, their individual karmas. And so with compassionate gaze, Shakyamuni Buddha sees all beings and says to us, if we want to be liberated, he will guide us. So while we have this precious human rebirth, which we have worked so hard to accumulate all the causes in the past, the causes of morality, generosity, other perfections, and stainless aspirational prayers to have this precious human rebirth now fulfilled for us in this very life. But the time of death is uncertain, and so we don't know how long we have to make use of this one-time opportunity. And so we cannot procrastinate, delaying practice. For when I have more time, and so seizing this opportunity with all the inner conditions complete, the outer conditions, having met the precious Buddha Dharma of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, who has taught the complete path of both Sutra and Tantra. So rare. We're guided by the Arya Sangha. And some of us so fortunate to already have a particular guru embodying Buddha Dharma Sangha on whom we can wholeheartedly rely. If not, at least we have met with Shakyamuni Buddha. And so, not wanting to suffer in this life, in our future lives, be they in miserable lower realms, having created the cause, non-virtue. We all have afflictions. We engage in negative actions with our body and speech, even when knowing the Dharma. So sad, but our habits are just so strong. And so we've created numberless causes to return to the lower realms. But even if we had a succession of precious human rebirths, we still suffer. And so generating the thought, wanting to emerge from samsara, renunciation, being fed up with cyclic existence again and again, repeatedly, taking countless bodies and minds under the control of karma and afflictions. And all the numberless sentient beings surrounding us similarly experience great pain and torments and fears. These very beings on whom my enlightenment depends. May they too be free of suffering forever. Feeling empowered by all of our conditions and in the best place to be able to help them from this precious human rebirth. We can even take responsibility, making a commitment in our mind to bring them to enlightenment, generating a mind of bodhicitta. And all of this is made possible because our very Buddha nature, this naturally present potential within each living being. The emptiness of inherent existence of the mind and all phenomena. Make it possible to develop, transform, grow our qualities all the way to enlightenment. How amazing. So incredibly blessed. And so keeping this mind of refuge combined with the three principal aspects of the path, then I want to do a simplified version of going for refuge. And we can recite a mantra, Namo Guru Be, then Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, or if that doesn't feel comfortable, then just simply in English, to the Guru, I go for refuge. To the Buddha, I go for refuge, and so forth. And so we can take just one line at a time in whichever translation. And if you have your mala, you can even count to each of the lines on your prayer beads, if you like, as a way of familiarizing with the practice. And when we recite the first line, for instance, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, when we recite it and repeat it, then what we can do is, I think I've written it here, so nectar flows down, enters our body and mind, not only of ourselves, from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha in front, and the throne with the text on top, but this nectar reaches not only ourselves, but all sentient beings around us. And it purifies, particularly in relation to the Guru, whatever negativities we've created, but all negativities even. And then I'll maybe, like after a period of quiet, I'll say the mantra again. And then that can be the time when we change, so that now the nectar comes in and fully develops within us the blessings, the qualities, realizations of that particular refuge. And then when we usually do purifying, it's usually a predominance of a white light, a white nectar and light. And then when we develop qualities and blessings, realizations, it usually changes to become like this golden color, this yellow golden color. And then at the, so we'll do some recitation of that. And then you can imagine that with this nectar, you and all the sentient beings around you become under the protection, under the guidance from the Guru Triple Gem. So in each of the 4 mantras, we can proceed purifying, developing blessing, qualities, realizations, and then coming under the protection. Does that seem quite clear? Yeah, it's just a practice and simplifies thing for now. So it doesn't have to be perfect for the time being. We're just learning, work in progress. So generating in your heart this intention of going for refuge, so that it's not just merely lip service or exercising the lips, but refuge is from the heart. So with that sense of needing, with great urgency, of not wanting to go to the lower realms, remain in cyclic existence. And for that, we need a guide. We need to rely on the Triple Gem, who's already attained the state of being able to liberate themselves, or are liberated or fully enlightened. So generating that strong intention. And so with each recitation, obviously Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is going to be extremely pleased with us. And smiling at our doing this practice. Okay, so firstly, purifying rays of nectar coming from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha as we recite Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. Just recite it silently to yourself, and I'll give some instructions. And feeling that all this nectar and light beams totally purifies any obstacles to actualizing the Dharma, purifies any sickness, purifies any negativities. Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. Purifies any particular negativities created in relation to the Guru, like not following the advice. Namo Guru Be. And all of these negativities totally leave the body. You can imagine in the form of like some sort of inky black smoke even, or anything like that. Namo Guru Be. We keep purifying any degenerations in our vows that we've received from the Guru, Radhamoksha, Bodhisattva, Tantric vows. Namo Guru Be. If we've ever generated non-virtuous thoughts, getting angry, criticizing, disrespecting the Guru, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. So imagine all of these totally leaving the body completely. And then as we continue to recite Namo Guru Be, now the nectar and light rays become this magnificent golden color that totally fills our body and mind and those of all sentient beings surrounding us. And this time bringing all the positive qualities, long life, merit, everything we need to understand the Dharma. Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. All the realizations of our Guru's body, speech, and mind to enter ours. Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. Namo Guru Be. And we can imagine a replica of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha comes and absorbs through our crown into our heart. And we come under the guidance, the protection of the Guru, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. And really have complete faith. We've worked so hard for this precious human rebirth and met the Dharma. We have all the conditions. We've just got to get out of our own way. So trust in this most precious holy Dharma that the Guru has now entered into your heart and you are under the protection. Feel that very strongly. The Guru saves us. We turn our mind to virtue, causes of happiness, liberation, and enlightenment through following the advice of the Guru, following the example of the Guru. So amazing. And so we can also draw our attention to the Buddha, purifying any negativities in relation to the Buddha. And, we might have disrespected statues, discriminated against some being good, some being bad, whether they were chipped, broken, scratched, seeing them as inferior. So all of these sort of negativities we can purify. Perhaps we've, even though we've taken refuge, some of us, perhaps we rely on worldly beings, putting more faith in things like tarot cards and other worldly objects that are not free from samsara. Perhaps we've disrespected Buddha images, put them on the ground, not in a place that's clean and high. So whatever negativities we've created, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. The white nectar purifies. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. And then now golden in color, bringing all the blessings and realizations. Buddha's omniscient mind, his consummate wisdom, compassion, love, power, ability to be able to know the subtleties of karma, all past, present, future lives, the dispositions of every sentient being, exactly how to help. We receive all of these, as well as the four fearlessnesses. Imagine receiving all these qualities of all the Buddhas. Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. Entirely filling up our body and mind. Namo Buddhaya. And once again, a replica from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha in front dissolves into us. We are firmly placed under the protection of the Buddha. And now in relation to the Dharma, we can purify any negativities. So in front of Shakyamuni Buddha was in front of the throne was a desk with text on it, for instance, representing his true paths, true cessations. Purifying nectar, white in color, enters into us, purifying any disrespect we've shown to the Dharma, thinking things are maybe like too difficult for me, or this is not necessary for me to know this. Any way we might have abandoned the Holy Dharma, thinking things are too intellectual, or putting Dharma books on the floor, stepping over them, putting them with worldly objects, packing them in our luggage just with our shoes and everything, not wrapped in precious brocade, as if offering robes. We might have thrown Dharma in the bin, used spit to turn the pages, disrespecting even a syllable of Dharma. Namo Dhammaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Dhammaya. Namo Dhammaya. All the negativities completely leave our body. We become purified of all such harm we've created through our disrespecting the Dharma, that which liberates. We can even imagine the text having taken that form as a representation of true path, true cessation, comes and dissolves into us as well. And we become under the protection of the Dharma. Having developed all the realizations contained within, totally filling our body and minds, realizations of good, devotion, karma, three principal aspects of the path, 2 stages of tantra. And then with the Sangha, nectar, white in color, comes forth, purifies, criticizing the Sangha, any sort of disrespecting even one Sangha member, not seeing even one as the ultimate Sangha jewel. So any harm or disrespect, getting angry at them or calling them by animal names, whatever we've done, not just in this life, but beginningless lives, we can purify. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Totally leaves the body. Namo Sanghaya. And then this time we'll do the one with the receiving of the qualities, golden light in color. And we can imagine receiving all the imprints for all the realizations of the Arya Sangha, their uncontrived bodhicitta with their wisdom realizing emptiness, non-conceptually, all the qualities, all the other virtuous states of mind in their continuum. In particular, their true paths, true cessations, their 6 perfections, 3 higher trainings, ethics, concentration, wisdom, and the 2 stages, generation stage, completion stage. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Sanghaya. Feel completely filled up. And under the protection of the Sangha jewel. We're never alone. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are always with us. And then Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, who's still in front, he can come and dissolve through our crown, blessing entirely our body, speech, and mind, so that we become inseparable from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. we can send out light rays to each of the sentient beings around us, purifying any traces that remain of negativities and developing all their realizations. And at the tip of these light rays, we can imagine sending from our body a Buddha. At the tip of each dissolves into their crown, whereby they too become Shakyamuni Buddha. Taking the result onto the path, we can see that we have totally liberated sentient beings and brought them to enlightenment. Make deep and firm such an imprint. Generate joy, delighting in our practice. So blessed, so fortunate. How amazing, so precious, so kind to meet the Guru Triple Gem and be guided to become Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And so just one time we can recite together the Refuge prayer. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. And so today we were going to have a brief look at the refuge practice, the instructions for the preliminary practice. And I just thought momentarily to give a bit of a taste. It was only supposed to be like a quick introduction, but I mean, it's taken some time, and I apologies because I think I missed the receiving the blessings of the Dharma jewel, just with trying to work out where we're at and what instructions to give. So yeah. So anyway, that's just a bit of a rushed taste of it. Obviously, the more time we can just sit with it and just feel it, and just allow it to permeate the body and mind, and not be with any time constraints or any need to hurry or rush or accomplish a certain number of recitations. But the quality is far more important than quantity. So that's just a very simple version of it, because we were using Guru Shakyamuni Buddha in a single form, whereas you have seen, and I can show you later, the I think I've got it behind me as well, the entire merit field, so we can have a look at that. Now, I was thinking, we've spent these almost 6 weeks on Refuge, and hopefully out of class time doing some work on Refuge, bringing it to mind, trying to not see Buddhas around us as decoration, and but actually see it as the actual Buddha, and try to develop this wholehearted resolve that relies on Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And in some ways, I think unless we develop some sort of conviction in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in the causal refuge, in the resultant refuge, it makes it really hard to make rich this practice. So I was wondering from you guys, do you have any sort of, when I say conviction, it doesn't have to be a realization, not like that, but do you have any sort of feeling of conviction that Buddhahood is even possible for you? that you can become Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. You know, just think about it. I'm not necessarily saying you've got to speak right now, but just think about these, you know, questions. Do you have conviction? Think about just that for a moment. Can you personally attain the state of liberation and enlightenment? And whatever you think, if you think yes, I hope you do, but I'm not going to insist you do. If you don't think you can, we might repeat this unit again, and I might mix up some changes. No, I'm kidding. But like, if you do think you can, is that based on just like some sort of feeling, like an emotional sort of, you know, connection, or does it have some sort of understanding from the teachings, some sort of, you know, like foundation of reasons and logic? Is it a mixture of both faith and reasons and logic? You know, this sort of thing. And if you've still got doubts, you know, like, so whatever the case now, I'm going to open the floor to you guys. If you'd like to share your responses, you're very welcome to. And, you know, having taken that time just to think clearly, try to keep your answer sort of quite short and direct if you can. One of our Geshe Jamyang, used to say, keep it short. Because, you know, as Westerners, we have a tendency to go blah, 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 and we haven't even got to a question yet. So I encourage that sort of thinking, because it's actually just helpful going forward. So, but you can go blah, blah, blah if you wish as well. Aaron, thank you for sharing. What would you like to say?
So I reason abductively. The first is that if I've always existed and I'm going to continue existing forever, I'm bound to get it right at some point. And the second reason is that thus far, Buddhism's practices have worked for me, and the beliefs, it would only make sense that reliabilistically that those practices would lead till the beliefs are true. So I could assume that since they say that I'm going to become Buddha one day, it makes sense that I would. So sutras like the Lotus Sutra and things would kind of make sense then.
Fantastic. And sincerely, totally rejoice. I rejoice in you and your practice and your thoughts, all of that. Thanks. Anyone else? Yes, Barbara.
I echo Aaron's thoughts, and it may take me 800 lifetimes or 800 eons, but I'm going to have that anyway.
Exactly right.
I am just going to keep plugging away, and I do believe. And it's a combination, like you said, of the teachings, what I've learned in the teachings, and then just it's a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be a combination of both, you know, because remember, one of the causes for refuge is faith, right? And it's that faith that's actually, I think it's called the faith of conviction, where it's actually based in reasons and logic. So it's going to have both. It's going to rely on the teachings to know that it's possible, okay, because of certain reasons and logic and so forth. And then on the base of this that's just going to strengthen what we may have now, which is a sense of blind faith as well. So our blind faith is going to get maybe a glass of water, right? And we've got like drops of our reasons and logic and the teachings as dye, and it's going to color that faith to become like a faith of conviction. And we're going to realize these sorts of things, these reasons and so forth. We're going to realize the teachings. So yeah, I think it's quite fair to say where we're at, Barbara. Why not? Why wouldn't we have both? You know, you guys have learned a lot of Dharma, you know, before now. So it's not just some random blind faith that you're not engaging with the teachings. You guys are. You're studying well, you know? So yeah, thank you. Would anyone else like to share? What if I gave you the parameter that you can go blah, 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 you don't have to keep it short? So what would be one of the reasons, one of the biggest reasons as to how and why this is possible. Do you remember any of the quotes that we might have done so far, or any of the quotes talking about, you know, how it's possible to be free of all of our karma and afflictions and ignorance grasping at a self and all of these things? You know how we talk about like the nature of the mind being like the sky or space or all these sorts of things, where the adventitious stains have not entered into the very nature of the mind, because the mind lacks inherent existence. The stains are adventitious, they arise, they're temporary, they can be overcome. It's not that when we overcome them, the mind is destroyed. It's not like this. But like clouds in the sky can be blown away by like a wisdom wind, and just revealing the true nature of the sky in the same way. Or from muddied water, the mud, the sediment at the bottom, whether it's shook up or it's relaxed at the bottom, all that sediment and filth and pollution can be removed from the water. Yeah. So because the nature of the mind is clear light on an ultimate level, meaning it lacks inherent existence, therefore can be developed. But also on a conventional level, you know, the nature of the mind is clear and knowing. And this clear and knowing is something that continues life after life. And so we've got a very stable basis. So just as we've practiced so well anger and attachment and pride and all of these things, that they arise just, you know, quite in an uncontrived way, right? Just something simple, a slight change of a condition and anger, frustration, whatever. Because we've so well practiced it. And this continuity of mind, this clear and knowing of mind goes from life to life. So looking at the conventional aspect of the mind. And so however we develop those states of mind, love and compassion and so forth, they can, on the positive side, rather than our attachment, aversion and whatever, they can grow. And we've got this stable basis of mind. So 800 eons from now, or I wish you more 800 lifetimes than eons, but even a single lifetime, Barbara, and to all of you, you know, these things can, you know, strengthen and ripen. And we've got these seeds of virtue in our mind to ripen in this way and really become, you know, with realizations that move towards becoming Sangha jewel, Dharma jewel, Buddha jewel. So because the nature of the mind is clear light, the stains are adventitious. This is one of the good reasonings to hold on to, I think. Also just that continuity of mind, that we don't have to accomplish everything in this one lifetime, but there is a continuity. So what we practice now becomes easier in our future lives. And because there's this continuity, if we can strengthen these virtuous states of mind, we can continue to build upon them in each subsequent lifetime. Okay? And then they can really become very strong. So these were like some of the reasons we could think of. Dependent arising is always a good reason. Okay, because our Buddha nature, you know, we talk about Buddha nature in two ways. This naturally present potential being the lack of inherent existence of the mind. And then we talk about Buddha nature. So that becomes, you know, eventually the supreme true cessation on the ground of a Buddha, the adventitious purity. Okay, of the emptiness of the Dharmakaya, the emptiness of the Buddha's mind. One aspect is that adventitious purity, having fully abandoned knowledge obscurations, afflictive obscurations, attained that true cessation. So I can't remember where my thought was going when I was linking from there. But this, you know, this emptiness of the mind, this natural purity of the mind, that will go to the ground of adventitious purity on the ground of a Buddha. And then the other part of Buddha nature, the second part, is the potential to be developed. So that's where we can develop all these positive attributes, qualities, realizations. Okay, so because every single sentient being has Buddha nature, they can develop, can change. So these are just some of the thoughts that I was thinking when, is Buddhahood possible for us? Yeah. Did anyone want to add anything before we go on otherwise? Yeah. So independence on the respect for the outer Buddha, the causal refuge of Buddha, then that can help us discover this inner Buddha, this inner Buddha potential. Okay, so it can be like an access road in. By developing this outer respect, then we can connect with and ripen this Buddha nature within us. And it's the same with, the outer Dharma that we see around us in the form of scriptures and so forth, which with our mind of refuge, if we, take an actual ceremony to engage, to become Buddhist in that sense, then, we can see outer Dharma as if they were true paths, true cessations. And that can help to awaken. The more respect we have for the Dharma, the external, causal refuge that is the Dharma jewel, then the more that can awaken our inner Dharma, our inner wisdom. Okay. And it's the same with the Sangha. Remember, the Kadampas used to, whenever they see a Sangha member approaching, they would, and this is not the Arya Sangha, because, no one advertises with the t-shirt, I have attained true paths, true cessations. But, even just the conventional Sangha, whether it be for fully ordained or whether it just be a single monastic, they would see that monastic and think of the Arya Sangha. So treating that single monastic as if they had possession of true paths, true cessations in their continuum. So the outer, external, causal Sangha is a way that we can ripen the imprints for ourselves. So remember, though, with the Arya Sangha jewel, those who do possess true paths, true cessations, they can be lay practitioners. Like Dom Trompa, for instance. So, and Don Trompa, at the time of Lama Atisha, I think he was like one of the manifestations of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay, so we can, whether we're lay or monastic, we can become the Arya Sangha jewel. All right, so going back then to looking at preliminary practice. So the biggest thing that if we choose to do with more leisure and more time just to, engage the feeling of the practice as well, apart from the brief introduction, which wasn't so brief, apologies. The important thing is that we've got to make sure that we're not just parroting. Sangye, where's our mind when we're going, I go for refuge and, until I'm enlightened? Where's our mind? It's often distracted and it's just saying the words. It's, setting up what we need. It's really not present. And so, yes, we're exercising the lips, but is the heart engaged? Is the mind engaged? And the reason we would engage in such a practice is to transform the mind, like to create really strong, like grooves. I don't know, images coming to mind, and it's so old school. I don't know where it's come from. But like when you, for some reason, I don't know why, I'm thinking of like a chariot, right? And it creates this strong imprint in the dirt. And say it's weighted down and it becomes a stronger groove. So instead of just going over and creating an imprint in the dirt, like the strong, deep imprint, that's what comes to my mind when I'm going blah, blah. So we want to create these strong, like deep imprints in our mind, grooves in our mind, strengthening, neuroplasticity, strengthening our neural pathways. And so we do this massive repetition of 100,000 of this and 10,000 of this and 1,000 of this and so forth with these preliminary practices, of which refuge is one of the preliminary practices. And we do it to build up these new habits and new pathways and new ways of thinking. so that they can become automatic. All right, so I just thought I'd just give a little bit of a brief introduction to the practice. And let's see what I've got. I think I've just summarized some of the points here. So obviously with, refuge, we've got the two causes, the healthy, intelligent, useful fear. Fearing what? Fearing the lower realms, clearly, but that's not pure refuge. We want to be fearing all of samsara so that our mind's determined and set towards liberation. And then having faith and trust that the Guru, Triple Gem, can lead us there because they know the way. They have attained the way, whether it be a portion of or completely attained the result. So naturally, with the causes present in our mind, completely relying on the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, then, and remember Mahayana practice, so it's until I attain enlightenment, we engage with sentient beings around us in the practice, we become their umze when we're leading them in the practice and so forth. We recite those refuge mantras, I think I've got them here again. We recite them for each Namo Guru Be, or you can do it in English, I take refuge in the Guru. This one I've not done before, Lama La Kyabsu Chiyo. So I guess that might be more the Tibetan probably, right? Namo Guru Be would be the Sanskrit probably, I don't know. Anyway, so we recite them individually, choosing one of the translations and doing that nectar and light rays coming through, purifying. So there's three aspects. The first one's purification, then receiving the qualities, the blessings, the realizations, and then coming under the protection of or the guidance of that individual object of refuge. So we do this not only for ourselves, but all sentient beings around us so that we can bring them to enlightenment. All right. I think I've got here. Okay, I'll do some more first. So yeah, the negative karma, not just in this lifetime, because we go, oh, I haven't like drawn blood from a Buddha, why would I purify that? But we don't know what we've done in our beginningless lives because we can't remember. So quite often we can infer what we've done because our habits are strong to repeat that action again and again. But just to make sure we cover all bases, whatever non-virtues we've ever created in all our beginningless lives, we imagine they get purified. And then also, or not then, but also simultaneously, sentient beings are also being purified from these objects of refuge. So, and then coming out of our pores or our lower openings in the form of this, liquid soot or some sort of dirty liquid. And then it's really important to feel completely purified. So we take that imprint and we make it strong. And it's also taking the result as the path, really, isn't it? Where we really feel that we've become completely like crystal clear, purified, totally free, empty of all negativities, obscurations, sicknesses, harms, hindrances, anything like that. And then the next stage is to develop all the qualities, receive them in the form of like this golden light. And when we get to the extensive visualization, you might remember one of the sessions I showed it and I talked about 5 sets of gurus. Well, that we can talk about 5 sets of lights coming from each of the chakras. So white, red, blue, yellow, green. But although the 5 color lights come, there's a predominance of the white. So the white entering into our crown, purifying. Then there's the predominance of within the 5 colors of the yellow, the golden, coming and bringing all the realizations. And I think it enters into the navel, into that chakra. So like that, receiving all those qualities, not forgetting sentient beings. We're surrounded by them. They too are a part of this process. As Mahayanists, we wish to bring them to enlightenment, so we never forget them in the practice. And then we become placed under the protection. We can imagine the replica dissolving into us and so forth. And so that we then achieve those realizations, we become the Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, Sangha jewel, and we come under the protection and so forth, feeling completely one with the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So that's basically, in essence, how I summarize the practice. So all of the presentation of the Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha in front of us, it's all in the nature of light. And we have these 5 sets of gurus, all of which are manifestations of the root guru here in front of us. And we had Guru Shakyamuni Buddha with Vajradhara at his heart, at Vajradhara heart, the hum. And then we had on his right side Maitreya, and then we had the extensive lineage, or the vast lineage, same thing, related to Maitreya, and then the profound lineage related to Manjushri, the practice of blessing lineage and so forth related to Vajradhara, our root guru, all our other direct gurus. And these are these 5 sets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All manifestations of the root guru, our direct connection. I've put a reference there. I believe I got it from Liberation Palm of Your Hand, page 129. Some notes on this. So there's the entire, merit field that we're visualizing when you take the extensive visualization, which feels quite hard to hold. So I just thought I'd do like a simplified version with you, just so we could get some sort of, build some sort of skill set in it, so that we can then go into like an extensive thing. So I think I've got there the 5 again. So there's the 5 sets of gurus that we've just looked at on the previous slide, where they're located here. There's the root guru, the other gurus in front, our direct gurus in this life. Okay. And then, so with this like Manjushri, in amongst here, like for me, I can't hold all the possible names that are a part of that, but there's like, if there's Nagarjuna, right? So it's a bit small on my screen. That might be no, I can't see to determine, sorry. But there'd be like people like Chandrakirti in there, Atisha, Dumtrumpa, all those beings are there. Lama Tsongkhapa will be there somewhere. So this is who we're relating to in this practice. And then on Maitreya's side here, we've got like Asanga, Vasubandhu, Vimuktrasena, Haribhadra. These are all the, Nalanda masters as well. Lama Atisha is also one of the Nalanda masters. So they're all in there. Yeah, Dumtrumpa is not one of the Nalanda masters, but he's in there, as is Lama Tsulingpa. And then behind the Buddha, we've got Vajradhara, and we've got then the lineage of the blessing, or the lineage of practices in there. And then we imagine, what have I got next? The 5 sets of Buddhas. So with the 5 sets of Buddhas, we've got 4 classes of, so these are the Buddhas in Sambhogakaya and then Nirmanakaya aspect. So this looks like here, the Sambhogakaya aspect. Can you see that there? There's like your 4 classes of Tantra. Is this microscopic on your screen, or can you sort of see it a little bit?
I can see it quite well.
Oh, great, Paula, great. My 51 years of age, I've just gone blind in my last, 4 years. So it looks quite small to me, even with new glasses. But there's the Sambhogakaya aspects there. So they're representations of the 4 classes of Tantra. Then we have the Nirmanakaya aspects here, which looks quite familiar to us, doesn't it? We've seen Guru Shakyamuni Buddha in that aspect. There we've got the Sutra Buddhas. So here's the Tantra Buddhas. Now we've got the Sutra Buddhas. We've got the 1,000 of this fortunate eon. We've got the 35 confession Buddhas, the 8, which is like the medicine Buddhas. Okay. Then we've got the 5 sets of Sangha, beginning from here, it looks like. So here the bodhisattvas, below the bodhisattvas, the solitary realizers, and solitary realizers, hearers, dukkha's and dakinis, Dharma protectors. So they're all in that section there. Okay. So I think maybe the solitary realizers and arhats who are hearers, so they're both arhats, solitary realizers and hearers. They have different realizations in different, times they train and so forth, but they achieve the same goal of liberation. You could say one's like a small enlightenment, a middling enlightenment, then of course great enlightenment was what the bodhisattvas achieve at Buddhahood. Anyway, these are the 5 sets of Sangha that we can imagine receiving those purifying rays of nectar and light rays, and then they're receiving the qualities and then coming under their protection. So this is obviously a very elaborate way of doing our purification. Then I just put down here the 5 sets of Dharma texts. But those texts, the 5 sets, so we've got sutra. I've just summarized it in as far as the sutra of, the hearers, the solitary realizers. So in other words, the Hinayana and then the Mahayana. So this being a category of sutra texts. And then for Tantra, the 1, 2, 3, so the 4th category of the 5 sets combines action, performance, and yoga Tantra texts. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th set is designated to the highest Yoga Tantra sets of Dharma texts. And those Dharma texts, they're on tables, usually in front. I think also to the right they can be, but either, in front of the objects of refuge. And they say, for instance, like that their pages are like written in gold. Oh, sorry, no, they're written in silver, I believe. Their pages are golden color, and all the text is written in silver. And it's like dripping with this nectar, and it makes the sounds of the Dharma, and it's the I guess a form of the realizations that those beings in the Guru merit field have. Yeah, maybe like that. So, these nectar and light rays, with the sounds of the meaning, absorbing to us, firstly purifying and then bringing the realizations. So remember, everything's in the nature of light in this entire alive merit field. It's not everything's, still freeze frame, not like that. There's movement, there's, bodies, light rays going out, doing work for sentient beings, coming back, having done their work and so forth. It's very active. All right, what else can I, oh yeah, so if this is too difficult to sort of know all of these, all of these beings, my goodness, that's above my capacity for now. Hope to get there in the future. But even just knowing, okay, that line there's my root guru, there's my direct gurus, here is like the classes of Tantra, the 4 classes of Tantra: action, performance, yoga, highest yoga Tantra. There's the deities there. So that's part of the Buddhas. There's the Namanikaya aspect. There it is there. Even just being able to name the line is good enough. Do you remember Lama Zopa, verse, I think it's 53, you are my guru, you are my yidam, you are my dakinis and dharma protectors. Do you remember that verse? From now until enlightenment, you shall seek no other refuge than you in this life, future lives, the bardo. Hold me with your hook of compassion, free me from samsara and nirvana's fears, grant all attainments, be my constant refuge, something like this, right? So this really embodies that, doesn't it? All of these are the Guru. The Guru is the Buddha. The Guru is the Dharma. The Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the Dukkhas and Dakinis and Dharma protectors. It's all there. And it's all made so real for us because of the connection we have with the Guru. So it makes the whole practice more intense in its purification and receiving the blessings. It makes stronger, like, Guru devotion is the rocket fuel to to enlightenment. So, it's like that. The more we can relate this practice to the precious holy guru, the stronger, more transforming will be the actual results for us. And I think it was Aaron talking about the results will come, and it is like that. If we've created the causes, even praying for the opposite result, the result's still going to come for the causes we've prayed for, the causes we've enacted. So, some lamas talk about wanting to go to the hell realms to free all the sentient beings from there. But they've lived this massive life of virtue and they're born in pure lands and all this sort of stuff. So even prayer will not stop the result from arising if the causes and conditions are complete. So absolutely, like Aaron's saying, that if the causes are there, the result will come one day. We will attain these results of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha in our own continuum, the resultant refuge. All right, so let's see. Also, I've got a reference here that when we do Lama Zopa, also there's a section in there that talks about, due to having made these requests, 5-colored nectar along with beams of light flow forth from the holy bodies of the Guru and the hosts of deities, entering my body and mind and those of all sentient beings. This is really the summary of that, isn't it? So it's in that Lama Zopa when we do, can't remember the section, but anyway, it's in there, and there's the page. So I think it's just like, under purifying or something like that, purifying, receiving the qualities. But anyway, I've given the page reference there as well. So this is also from Lama Zopa. I think I copied and pasted here as part of that text. All diseases, spirit harms, negative karmas, and obscurations collected from beginningless time, and especially all the negative karmas, obscurations, and degenerated samayas created in relation to the Guru, such as giving harm to the holy body, disobeying the advice, disturbing the holy mind of the glorious Guru, generating non-devotional thoughts about the Guru, criticizing the Guru, giving the Guru up, and so forth, are completely dispelled from the doors of our senses and all our pores in the form of liquid smoke and liquid soot. We become completely purified. Okay, so even when we do Lama Zopa, then what we're seeing there is a very much a similar thing. So then it says from Lama Zopa, our bodies become the nature of light, transparent and clear. Our lifespans, merits, and all qualities of scriptural learning and realization are fully developed. In particular, all the blessings of the glorious holy Guru's, in particular, all the blessings of the glorious Guru's holy body, speech, and mind, enter my body, speech, and mind, those of all sentient beings, and then we become under the protection of the glorious Guru. Okay, so that's kind of like, so we are familiar with it a little bit if we do Lama Zopa. We have seen these concepts before. Any questions so far? Any doubts? Yes, Barbara.
I have a question. The visual of all the Buddhists that you just went through, that's referred to, is the merit field and the Buddha field, is that interchangeable? Is that the same thing?
Buddha field and merit field?
Is, because I hear of Buddha field, hear of merit field, and I was wondering if they're interchangeable.
Yeah, I don't know. To give you an honest answer, no say. I don't know. Buddha field. I mean, merit field is I think you could, you invoke the Buddha field to accumulate, the 7 limbs and so forth, to accumulate the merit. Buddha field, I need to see the context in which Buddha field is written. I know I too have heard the word, but I'd need to see the context in which it is written. Without the context, I hesitate to say that I understand. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't help you.
No, that's okay. So that visual that you showed, that's referred to as the merit field.
Yeah, yeah. And it includes non-Buddhas as well, right? Because it includes, the Sangha jewel, the arhats. So it's not exclusive to just Buddhas, right? A Buddha field sounds exclusive to Buddhas, but I don't know without seeing the context to understand what's going on. But this merit field's not just Buddhas. Because there was, Hira arhats, solitary real arhats, there was dukkhas and dakinis and dharma protectors, and this sort of thing. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Lorraine, you've got your hand up somewhere. There you are. If you can show your face, I would love it. If you can't, no problem.
I'm not sure what my face looks like right now. I've been rubbing it.
I'll just look at the hand and pretend that's your face. So I'm
right,
looking
thank
at you
you.
right now. All right. How
Well,
can I help?
I'm relatively new to Buddhism. I've been practicing for about a year and a half, maybe a little more.
Cool.
But I live with my parents who are very, very born again Christian, as is much of my family. And they look at what I'm doing, and there's no way I can explain
No.
everything that I would like to about how it works. But the most pressing thing is the thing that comes to mind for most people raised in Christianity is that it looks like a cult.
Yeah, of
Especially
course.
with things like the devotion to the guru, and there's so much language around the guru, and I'm having trouble figuring out
Sure.
how to articulate how, especially considering devotion to the guru.
Yeah, I
it's
get
different
you.
from cultism. So if you can help me with that.
Yeah, I'll do my best to try to say some blah blahs. I hear what you're saying and I can see what you're saying. So sometimes it can look, guru devotion and so forth can sometimes look a bit over the top, as if it is fanaticism. I can't even say the word fanaticism, and this extreme guru worship, as if it's like a cult and a surrendering and all this sort of stuff. And while that can be true, that's just simply an outer aspect. So you could, one of our Geshis here, Geshe Jamyang, right? It was amazing. He was so much not into all of the formalities. He said to us, because every time I see him, I go, Geshe, like do all this sort of stuff. And he was like, you don't have to do that. You can just have that prostration in your heart, like a mental prostration. So we can do all of the bowing down and the fanaticisms and all of these things. There's no problem in certain contexts doing that. In other contexts, it can look a bit outrageous, as if it's a bit of a cult. So maybe it's not skillful to do that in all contexts, or engaging with your family, talking, if they're mainly fundamental Christians, where they're not going to relate. So any sort of over the top presentation may bring for their mind aversion and so forth, because they're only going to be able to deal with what's in their their line of understanding right now. And what doesn't fit their understanding, they're going to feel threatened by, because they don't understand it. So any sort of overt devotion like that and guru worshipping and all that can just be very unskillful to make more concrete, more cemented their aversion and ideas. So the point of what I'm trying to get to is that it's all about inner. The mental prostration is more important than a physical or a verbal prostration. In certain contexts, all three are best. In other contexts, just even a mental prostration is best. So finding a way to communicate with your family who are fundamentalists themselves, right? Sorry, I made a judgment there, but fundamental Christians can be as fanatical as Buddhists in their devotion. And
Yes.
yeah, sorry. So I was getting at something and I'd lost my thought, because I thought, oh, it might be politically incorrect, but doesn't matter. So finding the common ground, because anything other than what they can handle will be threatening. And you don't want aversion in their mind, and you want connection with your family. You want that closeness. So finding the commonalities, but you don't even have to use the Buddhist terms, because if I just talk normal Christians, I don't really know much about fundamental Christian. I've seen, the family, Louis Theroux documentaries in America, but I'm assuming it's not that. So I'll just talk, just general Christianity. They all have this idea of love and compassion and kindness and generosity and service and all of these amazing qualities, right? So if the fundamental Christians that you're talking about also embody those principles, you've got so many commonalities. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It is getting frustrating sometimes, because I'm very much devoted to this lifestyle now, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit suffocated, because my family is very, very, very far right,
Yeah.
No,
The other
I'm
thing,
too far overboard, but still bad
sure.
enough.
The thing that helped me as well, because my mum, she had dreams of everything that was going to happen in relation to me, probably from when I was in her womb.
Oh my
Right?
God, me too.
Yeah. So, me ordaining was not one of those dreams. It was about me giving her the grandkids and how she's going to come and live with me, and I take care of her when she's old. And it's a beautiful story.
I was
And
supposed to marry a preacher. I totally get you.
okay, so it's all these ideas and fantasies and wishes, right? Good, well-intentioned wishes. Naturally, I couldn't give her that, because I had a different life to lead, one that was honoring myself and my own pathway, and trying to extend my love that wasn't confined. I had to give up my precious dog to ordain, which is like, oh, I still chase after dogs. Dan knows I still chase after dogs now. It's like a gaping hole. But to love one being as I did, my precious dog, or my child. If I had a child, he was my child. Sorry, it's a dog, but it's a child. People get it. To give up, a precious dog or someone's child or your family or this sort of stuff to pursue your own path is, really challenging and won't be understood by them. But if you can show that through Buddhism, you are becoming kinder, you're becoming more caring, more compassionate, more gentle, less feisty, less aggressive, less reactionary in tantrums. If you can show how it's helping you, your actions will speak volumes, whereas your words will land on deaf ears. So that would be my suggestion to you, is not even talk about Buddhism, but just show through your kindness, your tenderness, your care, your love, your serving your parents, particularly if they're aging, give to them, give back to them, wholeheartedly, as if they were the guru. And it becomes so incredibly precious, and they can feel amazing, because it's like for my mum, I cared for her. She's passed on about 5 months ago now, but just being with her and tending to her, she felt like $1 million, even when she no longer could discriminate who I was as a connection to her. But she would light up when she saw me, because she would just say, "You're the kindest person I've ever met." She didn't know I was her daughter. She'd sometimes even say, "May I ask you a question?" And she would ask me, "Who's your mother?" And it was so sweet. And she'd get so much joy when I say, "You are." So, words don't mean much at the end of the day, Lorraine, but if you can show through your actions how Buddhism is helping you, and you can treat, people, particularly your parents who gave you this body. Without your parents, you wouldn't be here now. You wouldn't have this body. You wouldn't have had a precious human rebirth to meet the Dharma, to take vows, to hear the precious Dharma, to be able to transform your life, to, give up non-virtue, cause of lower realms, cultivate virtue, cause of happiness. Like, it's so incredible. So even if the parents did nothing else that is seemingly good to you, but they still gave us this body is theirs. The sperm and egg created this body. This body is not even ours. It belongs to them, if you look at the substance of it. So, you know, they're a powerful field of merit for us. So anything we can do to help our parents is just so amazing, and they get the benefit. So show them through your actions. Don't waste words on them. The words will maybe trigger them. Just show through actions. That's my conclusion. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I've been focusing on, although it has been
Yeah, it's hard.
difficult sometimes when they say certain things. So, but thank you very much.
Yeah, they can't. If they try to attack you, and you know, thinking that the biggest thing in your life right now, Mum always felt second place to the Buddha Dharma. She put herself third after my dog. This is not true in the latter part of her life, but she felt, you know, that insecurity of her dreams not being fulfilled. So what I was going to say is, you know, she struggled when I first became a nun, but then after some time, she became my biggest fan, and she would come up here with, you know, a group of friends and take them on a tour and come to a meditation. So in time, things can change, Lorraine, even if there is aversion initially. So, but also, yeah, I think I've maybe said enough, but I hope that helps.
It does help very much. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Does anyone else have any questions or things to share? Paula?
Dear Venerable, I don't want to throw things in if it just confuses, but I've got a theoretical bit of text, the distinction between the Buddha field and the merit field.
Great, thanks. That's really wonderful.
Can I throw it in? I'll just...
Yes, throw it in the chat if you like. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good to make use of the chat in a constructive way. So yeah, absolutely. And thanks for checking in. I think that's really courteous to see if it's a good time. We appreciate it.
There we go.
Thank you. What's your source for this? Does it say?
No.
Okay. So see how it says Sambhogakaya or Buddha realm? The Buddha field is the body, the form body of a Buddha that is visible to Arya bodhisattvas. Here we go. What's this bit? A Buddha field is a pure realm or pure land. There we go. So it can be inhabited. It's not exclusive. It can be inhabited by bodhisattvas. This is talking about being born in a merit field as opposed to generating it in front of us to accumulate the collections. Thanks, Paula. This is a nice read. Okay. Anything else? Hi, Aaron.
I had a quick question. I noticed that you stated that the refuge had happened yesterday. I did not know it was going to be yesterday. And I was wondering when the next session would be.
Sure, good question. So it's Mondays from today's Tuesday for me. From 12 to 2 I have you. So it's Mondays 12 to 2, which means it's probably Sunday, 7 till 8:30 p.m. I'm assuming it's Monday 7 to 9 for you guys, this class. So it's going to be the day before. Sunday, I got to work in time zones here and back different dates. It's Sunday from 7 to 8:30 your time. That's all you need to know, unless you're Dan, and then it would be Monday 12 to 1:30. Okay. It's on the website, Aaron. You'll be able to find it. And I think it's a great thing for you guys to look into. So I might just go on and do some wrap up, because part of that was referring to something related to your question there, Aaron. Okay. So what I thought about doing was, just sort of wrapping up some of what we covered from the first session, just to bookend everything in together. So when I introduced Refuge at the beginning, session 1, then, I was talking about how Refuge begins each of our Buddhist practices, and it's like, developing our body, speech, and mind, going in a particular direction, as a virtuous direction, a cause, to attain the resultant state. So it wasn't just Refuge isolated to beginners or like a small scope practice, nothing like that. It's very much, I use the term evolving, right? The more we understand, the more we evolve our Refuge. And so it was, one of those slides I had was like the doors opening. It was like the entrance to the Buddha Dharma, the entire Buddha Dharma. This is how we enter into the teachings and rely on them as a form of curative medicine, so that we can overcome this chronic illness of our samsara, our 5 aggregates being samsara. Samsara not being a place, but our 5 aggregates. Okay, our form, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, consciousness, our body, our mind, all under the control of karma and afflictions. This is samsara. It's within our continuum. Samsara is not external. It's what it's, so it's not a place. It's something within our continuum. We each have our own samsara. And so whether we enter into the Buddhist teachings at a Hinayana, Mahayana, the Mahayana Tantra, so you've got Mahayana Sutra or Tantra, doesn't matter. There's going to be Refuge as the starting point of our practice of moving that mind in that virtuous direction to attain Buddha, Dharma, Sangha in our own continuum. That's the purpose of practice. All the teachings, 84,000, were for the purpose of liberation. So obviously, small scope practitioners who seek the happiness of future lives, it's still within samsara. Doesn't make sense, right? That you would just settle for that. That's what we have. And it's not enough. We still suffer. Still people, we get sick, age, die, all of this, even just with a slightest change in our conditions, we experience so much suffering and loss, heartache and everything. Our minds are tormented by afflictions at times. So striving for the happiness of future lives is not enough, even though we are renouncing the happiness of this life. If you're a small scope practitioner, you're engaging not in worldly Dharma, but actual Dharma, and renouncing the lower realms. Not enough. We need to renounce all of samsara. We need to set our goal, like Chandrakirti said, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is for those desirous of liberation. That's us. Desiring liberation, so we take refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So, but even just attaining liberation is not enough, right? So we, as Mahayana practitioners, aspiring Mahayana practitioners, we want to achieve enlightenment, but we want to achieve it. The causal refuge is for the welfare of all sentient beings. That's the most important one, more important than seeking enlightenment, is the cause of why we do it. For the welfare of all sentient beings, to bring them to enlightenment, I must attain enlightenment. So the causal motivation is what's driving us, is the welfare of sentient beings to achieve enlightenment. Got to have refuge. Remember when we do Vajrasattva every night, the 4 opponent powers, one of them was the power of reliance, or the power of the support. One component is refuge, one component is bodhicitta. They are the fields on which we create the negativities, the disrespect and so forth in relation to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in relation to sentient beings. So that's the basis on which we transform and purify our negativities. Highest Yoga Tantra. So not just attaining enlightenment, but attaining it quickly within this very lifetime. So refuge, once again, comes in there, and it's part of the commitments. Even I think it's Varachana, so it's part of the commitments of the Samaya of secret Highest Yoga Tantra. So refuge also is like the basis of our vows. So if we have refuge, then we can take Pratamoksha vows, bodhisattva vows, tantric vows. Without refuge, we cannot. If we give up our refuge, even in jest, as a joke, we lose the support, the basis for our vows. So this is a grave negativity to even joke about such a thing. What else? So I want to talk about, it's a quote that I've avoided showing all 6 weeks that I'm going to show today, about the two truths. We also want to avoid just giving lip service to the Dharma, okay? We want to make sure that we can generate that heartfelt, faith and resolve and reliance. And it's like say you're someone on death row. I don't really know this very well. I'm just trying to think of a scenario. It may or may not happen. But say someone's shackled in, going towards their death, right? Chained in, as much as they may have in their heart right now to be saved from execution, lethal injection, or something so unfortunate. In the same way is the strength that we need to muster when we go for refuge. We want to be saved from lower realms, from samsara, not just from this one life, from all our future lives under the control of karma and afflictions where we suffer. So it's that sort of, do you see what I'm saying? It's that sort of like intensity that we've got to bring to our practice. And then we can talk about the three jewels being a savior, a protector, a refuge, like this. Okay. What else do I want to summarize? So I might show you that quote that I was bypassing continually, just because time was always precious. Here it is here. Okay, go away, young man. Go. By understanding the two truths. This is written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and it's in the prayer that's praise to the Nalanda masters. You know that one? I don't know if you've seen it. Sometimes we recite it at the beginning of teachings. So by understanding the two truths, the way things exist. So we're talking about understanding conventional truth, ultimate truth. Conventional truth is everything, from the Prasangika point of view, everything other than emptiness. So it's the way, we exist, our mind, our Buddha nature, that of all other sentient beings. It's our virtue, our non-virtue, karma, actions and results, cause and effect. It's happiness, it's suffering, it's all of these things. So whatever exists, whatever is a phenomenon that's not emptiness, is going to be a conventional truth. It's all our ethics and our taking of vows. It's cultivating wisdom, compassion, renunciation, bodhicitta, all of these things, the six perfections, excluding wisdom realizing emptiness. The wisdom is conventional, the object, so including the six perfections, because the wisdom realizing emptiness is a wisdom, it's a conventional truth. It's not emptiness. It realizes emptiness, its object, but it's a subject. So even that. So by understanding conventionalities, how they exist, and they are a conventional truth. Why are they a truth? Because they are true for the ignorance in our mind. They're truth for a concealer, truth for ignorance, because ignorance sees everything as inherently existing, where it doesn't in actuality. So things appear to inherently exist, and ignorance sees it as inherently existing. So it's true for ignorance, but they're actually false. They don't exist that way. They only exist that way for ignorance. Whereas ultimate truths, that's like the lack of inherent existence. From a Prasangika point of view, it's also true cessations, having abandoned afflictive obscurations. It's the, the emptiness of the mind, having abandoned a portion of obscurations or entirety of afflictive obscurations, entirety of knowledge obscurations. So ultimate truth is how things exist in actuality. So if we can come to understand the two truths, how things exist as lacking inherent existence, they're true for that ultimate awareness in the sense of true for the Arya beings, exalted knowledge of meditative equipoise, realizing emptiness, that what appears is emptiness, what appears is a lack of inherent existence. It is true because not only does it appear that way, it exists that way. Other phenomena appear as truly existent, but they don't exist that way because they lack inherent existence or true existence. Same thing. Okay? So conventional truths are false. Conventional truths are true suffering, true origins, true paths. As far as ultimate truths go, we're talking about true cessations. So when we can come to understand the two truths, the way things exist, then we can ascertain through the four truths we enter cyclic existence and how we can exit it. So we enter under true origins, causing true suffering. So karma and afflictions, there are true origins that bring about the result of true suffering. These aggregates of true suffering, they come about impelled at the time of death by karma and afflictions. We take this next rebirth, true suffering. If we want to reverse our cyclic existence, then we need to realize that the number one main true path is that wisdom realizing emptiness. It's going to be the direct antidote to ignorance, grasping at inherent existence. It's exactly opposite in the way it sees things, but it is built on the foundation of reasons and logic. It's supported by a valid cognition. It's a true mind. How things appear to that wisdom is how they exist. So it's true based in reality, all these wonderful things. Whereas that ignorance is a wrong consciousness. It doesn't exist that way. Ignorance grasping at inherent existence can therefore be overcome. It's a very faulty mind without any reasons and logic to support it. It's not a valid mind, it's a wrong mind. So in this case, the wisdom can not only be a direct antidote by being an opposite way of seeing things, but it can completely devour the ignorance because of all of those other aspects being true and valid and supported with reasons and logic and all of those wonderful foundations that makes it extremely potent. So when we understand the two truths, then we can better understand how we enter and exit samsara, and then what can happen from there when we can see that yes, I'm suffering. Why am I suffering? Because of true origins. Can they be overcome? Absolutely, because they are wrong consciousnesses, wrong minds. They don't exist in reality. If we can stop the ignorance that grasps at an inherently existent self, we can stop whatever flows on from that as cause and effect. So we can stop all afflictions. We can stop all karma. Okay, there's your true origins, isn't it? Karma and afflictions. The chief affliction being ignorance, grasping at inherent existence. So we can overcome true origins. So ascertaining through the four truths how we enter and exit. So when we can realize we're suffering, we can realize, what's the cause? Can I overcome it? We can realize that we can be free of suffering. That's when we sort of, we understand this true cessation, that we can be free. But how? Well, that's where we need true paths, because they're the methods by which we can develop the mind, the realizations, so that we can actually attain the true paths, true cessations, in our mental continuum, becoming a Sangha jewel, having realized the Dharma jewel, true plus true cessations. And then we can take that to the ground of a Buddha. So you can see how it's all related to the two truths. When we better understand the two truths, we can better understand the four truths. Now, when we understand that liberation is possible, then what does that do? That increases our faith in the three jewels, our reliance, this faith of conviction that I too can attain the resultant refuge, independent on relying on those who have already attained it, the causal refuge. So in this way, this quote I think is quite powerful. I've not had a direct teaching on it to really be able to drive home the power and the essence of it. But that's just a limited understanding that I can bring to it, that the greater the purpose of our reliance, our faith, our striving, our determination to attain the three jewels will come about when we can actually understand the four truths, which now what Aaron was getting at is I'm doing just for 3 more weeks on a Sunday night for you guys. So you're very welcome to join for that, because I also think it can be good to make more deep our understanding of the four truths. So over the subsequent 3 weeks, we'll endeavor to do that. I think there's some more lines here. So then His Holiness concludes, may I be blessed so that the root of the liberating path is firmly established within me. The whole purpose of the Buddha's teachings is for liberation. And so in dependence on the two truths, the four truths, the three jewels, this is how we can proceed. And so also I think worth remembering, Kabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche has mentioned again and again that we are not alone, because all the time there are numberless Buddhas and bodhisattvas surrounding us, loving us, guiding us, and that is what they have trained to do for eons. So here we are as Dharma practitioners with sincere hearts to focus on the Dharma. Of course they're guiding us. And so a Buddha's mind knows all phenomena, omniscient, realizes all phenomena, realizes every atom of our body, realizes every moment of our mind, realizes every mind we have, realizes our disposition, what we have an inclination towards, when the time is ripe for us to flourish, to strive, to ripen. And so a Buddha's holy mind knows all of this, knows even that thought you just had then. Wherever Buddha's mind pervades, necessarily his body pervades. Wherever his body pervades, necessarily his speech pervades. So, I think with Refuge, this course, my hope is that maybe we can feel a stronger connection to the three jewels. And where the times are good, take refuge many times throughout the day. If times are difficult, we go for refuge. If you wake up from a bad dream, we can go for refuge. If you get scared walking past the stairs where the Eastern brown snake is, Lama Kian, Lama think of me, go for refuge. So whether it's good times or bad times, accessible to us because we're not alone is the Buddha's holy body, speech, and mind. And so in that sense, I wish you guys every happiness with your continuing to blossom and unfold in this most precious use of your life, this unfolding journey to Buddhahood. And I don't think I'll cover that. This is how we can really end samsara and renounce samsara, renounce our self-cherishing, and try to set our mind going towards enlightenment, bringing all sentient beings with us, and just really wholeheartedly, relying on those who have already attained the very states we seek, the causal refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that exists already in another's continuum. They've already achieved part of the results, true paths, and maybe also true cessations. Whether they've achieved true paths and true cessations, or even just true paths, necessarily there is Sangha jewel. They know the path to liberation because they've perceptually realized, non-conceptually realized emptiness. So they have the antidote to afflictive obscurations already in their continuum to develop on the basis of supported by their bodhicitta. So it's supported by their conventional bodhicitta. This ultimate bodhicitta is the realization of emptiness in the continuum of that Arya Bodhisattva. So this is how we can proceed. And then if you wanted to, for the last, we've got to do some dedications, but also for the last like 5 minutes or something, we could either summarize with any other questions or comments, or we could even, recite a sutra, or I can just put the sutra file. I can find the file and put the sutra file in the chat for you to read at home. So, yeah, well, you're the boss. Actually, Paula's the boss. No, we all are.
Venerable, shall we do a final meditation and finish with dedication?
Yep. A final meditation on, you say? Yeah. What would you like to do a meditation on? Would you like to be a self-directed meditation? No. Okay. Well, to me, I think the most powerful meditation for where we're at is related to that chart that I presented a couple of weeks ago, which is related to the Four Truths. Can I just show you quickly? Well, let's see if I can find it. Because within that are the Four Truths. But let me bring this up. I think this is wonderfully powerful because it makes, it helps us to develop conviction that all of this isn't just blah, 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 but it's possible. But you may not like this. You might want something more, like lovey-dovey sort of thing. So we don't have to do this. We can do it with love. Do you remember this I showed you? Let me just refresh. You can do it as a meditation if you like. So this is investigating the reality of the Four Noble Truths. And so right now, we haven't got long, Paula. It's a bit of a 3-minute meditation, but anyway, we can just reflect on how our body and mind is in the nature of suffering, like a ticking time bomb, ready to go off. This life is so fragile. Just like a drop of dew on a grassy leaf. So fragile and burst at any moment. Because this body and mind, samsara, our own samsara, is true suffering. It's a result. This body and mind is changing moment by moment, sometimes with attachment, sometimes with anger, sometimes jealousy, pride, sometimes love, compassion, kindness. And so this true suffering being a result has a cause. Sometimes the intensity changes and we experience greater suffering. And other times we don't even notice it. And so clearly this cause, this true origin of our true suffering, samsara, is impermanent. True origins, karma, and afflictions are the cause of my true suffering, samsara, body and mind. Because it is caused, and this cause is impermanent, this empowers me entirely to know that if I stop the cause, I stop its result. Whereby we can become free entirely of karma and afflictions, and body and mind controlled by karma and afflictions. Every teaching of the Buddha was for this purpose of liberation. Therefore, if I entrust myself to the teachings of the Buddha, the real refuge, developing that in my mind, true paths, true cessations, particularly the true paths, they will overpower entirely forever true origins. And so this is the way. And so rest in that, having full confidence that the teacher, the Buddha, the teacher of refuge, the followers of the Buddha's teachings, the Sangha who are there to help us to put into action every drop of virtue until we develop the Dharma for the welfare of liberating every single sentient being also, and bringing them to enlightenment. This is our goal, our aim, our purpose. May we be forever blessed, life after life, to make this an actuality. So let's do some dedications to conclude. And rejoice in each other, being here, spending this time, these 6 weeks together. Rejoice in your own efforts your own commitments to be here, your own sacrifices to prioritize being here, and pulling all that virtue, which by rejoicing gets increased, pulling it with all the virtue ever created by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past, present, and future. One giant ocean of virtue, totally empty, not even an atom existing from its own side. We can dedicate, also totally empty, to the result of enlightenment, totally empty. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of a Guru Buddha, that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Whatever white virtues were thus created, we dedicated as causes, enabling us to uphold the holy Dharma of scriptures and realization, and to fulfill without exception the prayers and deeds of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times. By the force of this merit, may we never be parted in all our lives from Mahayana's four wheels, and may we reach the end of our journey along the paths of renunciation, bodhicitta, pure view, and the 2 stages of tantric practice. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subjurer's moral way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the 3 sublime ones, savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Okay, my friends. So thank you, and perhaps we'll meet again sometime, somewhere, someplace, maybe before enlightenment in a Buddha field. I wish you very well, and yeah, may you continue your journey, and may all be precious and wonderful for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you